Alright guys, start of Saturday. Didn't get any footage last night because by the time we kicked off it was dark. So we did our safety stuff and emergency stuff and whatnot just around the fire pit. Getting ready to kick off.
You're finding a tree, please use this as an example, that has sunlight most of the day, something that's green. Right? Those oak trees don't have a lot of water going through them, so would it be a wise idea to use them? No, right? You're not going to get much water from them. You can, you absolutely can, but it's not your best choice. So, you want to pick a plant, as many leaves as you can, as green as you can, whatever. And you're going to take some branches, and you're going to bend them. Not break them off, but bend them. Do that. Why would you want to do that?
See if they're not dead.
Not quite.
To expose the moisture inside.
So you're exposing the moisture inside, and because of the wound, the tree's going to send liquids there to try to heal that wound, which is more water for you, right? So you're going to find an area, you're going to bend those branches, not quite break them, and then you're going to take your bag, should be clear, and you're going to put it around all the branches that you bent or not broke, and then you're going to seal it up at the end. All right, now why would we want to seal it up?
To avoid evaporation.
There you go, because what we're doing is we're creating condensation evaporation, right? So sun's going to go through your clear bag, it's going to hit the branches and leaves, heat them up, the water's going to evaporate off those leaves, hit the bag, condensate, and it's going to create droplets and go through for quite a while. If you spend the tree after a few days,
Already getting some condensation.
but it depends how young the tree is.
You said oak trees not so good?
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of water in them. You can see how dry they are. Like even you fall in an icy river and you get out, you can get hypothermia and die within 10 minutes. So if you don't have a way to make fire, you don't know how to do it. It can be pretty much the quickest killer out there for you guys. Even at SEER, the only thing that can kill you quicker than exposure is bullets, or enemy. So fire is important. That's one reason, right? Heat. What are some other reasons we want to make fire?
Cook.
Absolutely. What else?
Boil your water.
Yes, water purification is huge. What else?
How about your mental state?
That's huge, right? A lot of people don't take
Totally.
that into account. That PMA, that positive mental attitude, that little boost, that pick-me-up, that can be huge, right?
So it doesn't attract predators instead of...
It can attract them, but they're not going to actually come and attack you. Why? They'll come to you, but they're not actually going to come into the fire and try to eat you, whereas if you're just chilling there. Does that make sense?
Can attract the two-legged predators, though.
Yes, that's one thing we touch on in SEER that I'm not going to go into here. Now, that's talking about wood. What if we make a fire in our shelter out of a man-made thing? Or like, say your vehicle goes down and you're in a snowy environment and you pull your seat foam out or something like that to make a fire. What else do you need to consider?
Poison gas.
Absolutely. Even more so than carbon monoxide, right? Carbon monoxide, everyone knows, you'll start to go, feel sleepy, whatever, but you'll have a little bit of an option to kind of see that coming. Those poisonous gases, you may not even feel it, and then you just... I'll talk about that with any of these lathes, but you can build a reflector like he's talking about to kind of amplify this and use less fuel. So you have our log cabin, our pyramid, they're pretty much the same thing, just pyramid gets closer toward the top. You also have an A-frame fire lay. So if I've got a shelter, I'm building something, I can actually take a large log and make literally an A-frame with logs, right? And I can light that on fire. Now this is nice because you've got all that airspace and you can put your timber bundle on the inside and the heat will rise. You can also make this a lot longer, so if you've got two people who are just you can lay next to this and you've got heat going out in just two directions. You're not really wasting fuel going this way and this way, if that makes sense. Some people like the U method that I've done here, so I just make a U shape and I put my ember or whatever I'm lighting in there, and then I can move it to my fire, so that's one method. Another method is an actual bird's nest shape, like he's got one right there that you guys can see. It's actually like an actual bird's nest, and that's fine too. Another thing some people do is they kind of combine it. That's what I'll usually actually do if I'm no crap trying to make like a primitive fire. I'll lay out a base, kind of like this, and then I'll put a bird's nest in the middle. So I can manipulate the base, but I've got that nest right there, so my ember's not going to fall out to the sides or anything like that. Not all matches are created equal. You have your standard match. These are actually from an MRE. They even state on the back that they are water resistant, but when I go to light it, we'll see what happens when it gets wet. So I'm like, I set up my fire lay, I'm cold, it's raining, I gotta freaking make a fire quickly. Oh God, oh, it's raining, oh no. Doesn't work, right? As soon as that gets wet, it doesn't work for you. Now you can waterproof matches, whether it's these or normal strike anywhere, by dipping them in wax or something like that. But as soon as it gets wet, after it's lit, it's going to do that. It's going to go out. So something you can get is stormproof matches. Now these aren't strike anywhere, so you have to have a striker with it. But in my opinion, that's a pretty small disadvantage. All this orange stuff is an alloy of a few different metals, but it has magnesium in it. This will stay completely lit while it's completely submerged in the water. So this is what I carry. This is actually the thing in my kit. It's just a little waterproof container with a bunch of matches and a striker on the inside. You don't have to get that crazy with it, but it's another option available for you. I'll always have a few of these. So like with any match, we want to light it properly, hold it near the head, that way we don't snap the head off. Once you've struck it, you're going to move back so you can manipulate it as you need. I'll show you guys once it's lit. So my mag's lit, goes in water, it's submerged, I take it back out, we're still lit. Now, does anyone not know how flint and steel actually works? I'll explain it because we got some younger guys in here. But a lot of people, for some reason, they think it's coming off the rock. The sparks are coming off the rock. What it actually is the iron. And everyone knows iron rusts, right? So what you're doing is you're chipping little pieces of that iron off, and it's rusting so fast, that little piece, the whole surface area is rusting so fast, which rust creates heat because it's oxidation, right? It's actually spontaneously combusting that tiny piece in midair. Trying to find an edge, and you're chipping some of that steel off. So let's see if I can get some sparks for you guys to see. My flint's really worn down, so it might be a little hard. There you go. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the chert red. That's flint from the East Coast. Well, but what tends to happen, it's probably happening to a lot of you when you try this, is it goes, and it flings out and hits someone in the face or gets lost in your garage. That's what you don't want. So leave it to the Egyptians to come up with a better way to do it. What they do, and what I do, is I take the string, make it twice as long as your bow, and then in the middle of it, you're going to tie a clowfish, which we'll talk about in our knots lesson a little later on. Or some sort of non-slip knot. Now, even if my string goes crazy, it just falls, and I'm still attached. And all they do, and all I do, is just put a couple wraps on the bottom, like so, a couple wraps on the top, and then I tension it out. That way I can spin back and forth. So even if it pops out, you're still good to go. So that's that.
It's $120 worth right there.
I was gonna say, that paid for itself right there.
What you just showed us with the clowfish.
Oh, right on.
And the notch in the back where you can set tension on.
Well, I'm glad I could teach you something.
Yeah!
Nice! Woo!
Still. Thumbs up, buddy. Yeah.
All right, Aaron. There you go. All right.
There's a
Good job, man.
Introduce myself, of course. So we're going to be talking about water procurement next. I already mentioned when we were doing fire before that water is the other most important thing you need, right? And depending on your environment, it may actually take precedence over fire, right? If you're in the desert, water's going to kill, lack of water, so it's going to kill you a lot quicker than fire, right? How much do we actually need per day? What do you think?
It varies.
8 cups? Yeah, it varies on, you're absolutely right, you're both right. It varies on the person. Anyway, moving on. So those are some ways we can lose water. Let's talk about some water sources, places we can actually get it, right? So there's an acronym we use for that called DAVISS, D-A-V-I-S-S. That's when we teach at SEER. So the first one is distillation. We already talked about the 3 stills. Does anyone have any questions or comments on those? Okay. A, that's going to be our atmospherics. What would some examples of atmospherics be?
Rain.
Yeah.
Snow.
Rain, sleet, snow, all those things are atmospherics. What about dew? Dew's a big one. What are some ways we can actually get dew or procure it?
Soak it up off a bandana off the grass. Or
Yeah, absolutely. take your t-shirt, your bandana, wrap it around your legs, walk through some tall grass, take it, squeeze it out, keep doing that. A sponge on your tarp, whatever. Lots of different ways to do it. Banging stuff out into a container. Dew is very good. It's free. You don't have to work for it. It's all over the place. So that's a good thing you can use. First thing we can think about is terrain features. So when we do our nav lesson, I'll kind of touch on this a little more. But look for stuff in the terrain, because water is lazy. It's going to take the easiest route. So that's well. So those are some things we can use as indicators for our sources. So once we use our indicator, we find our source we talked about. What do we need to do next? Once we've got our source, we see the water there, we dug our sieve or whatever. What do we need to do next? Collect. Yeah, we need to collect it, absolutely, and filter it and purify it, right? What's the difference between those two? Or is there a difference? That's kind of similar to that, which is actually the thing I use if I'm not boiling, is a Sawyer squeeze filter. There's actually a bunch of little hollow tubes in here, and you just push water through it and you're good to go. This threading right here, it comes with cool little bags you can use, and you put dirty water in the bag and you squeeze it in your bottle or whatever, but it's the same threading as like a 2-liter pop bottle or a 20 ounce. So if this breaks or you don't want to use this, use one of those. It's this multi-purpose. You can even hook this inline on your camelback and just put dirty water in your bladder and suck it through. I've done that before as well. And if you get the mini version of it, which is the one I'm currently carrying in my own kit, it comes with a little straw, and you attach it exactly to it just like a life straw. Alright. Now, with this particular knot and with any knot, most people don't realize that it actually kind of it kills the integrity of your rope. So certain knots, like a slip knot, or not slip knot, a square knot, you're only getting about 40% of the strength of your rope out of that. So say your rope can carry 500 pounds, now it can only carry 150 from that. The bowline's around 60 to 70%. That's going to depend on how well it's dressed. Dressed meaning how neat it is and nothing's crossing weird, and what type of rope it actually is.
That's up through the hole, around the tree, and then back down.
Yes. Do the same.
Oh man, I hear it. Nice! First bow drill fire. Oh. That's awesome, bro. Nice.
That's what I was talking about, putting a tube in there, because now you got to take the whole thing apart to get the water, Oh yeah, look at that. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, man.
And that wasn't even ideal positioning either. Like,
Yeah, I know.
that's the whole
Where'd
idea.
that come from?
You want to try it?
Not now. I want to save it.
Well, we can't. We got to drink it now. Remember what he said yesterday
No.
about don't conserve water?
What is that?
Means if you got water, drink it. We'll get out the big pieces here. Let's give it a try.
Nice.
Maybe I'll try a little.
Coffee cup here.
Look at that, dude.
That is awesome.
What do you think, buddy?
Hang on, I got a picture of that.
That is awesome.
Here, hold that down by the bottom.
And we have another one.